Hello everyone, welcome to this training about the SQL Client module for vNode. My name is Fabian and today I'm going to show you how this module works to get data out from databases and put data inside vNode. So to get started, I'm going to show you a very quick PowerPoint just about explain a little bit about what is vNode and how this module works. So at this moment, probably you already know, so vNode is an industrial connectivity software. So the idea is to make IoT easy for integrators and end users. So vNode is multi-platform. You can have vNode running in any Windows version or in Linux. Supports store and forward, supports data compression. Well, these are some of the features of vNode, so probably at this moment you already know about all this. As you can see, so vNode is composed by all these parts. So in this moment we're going to be working in an input module to collect data from databases. So then after we get the data from the databases inside vNode, then of course you can run calculations or any kind of trigger or any kind of script, or send it of course to any outbound module to send data out to a SCADA software or the cloud or any other destination. So at this moment the SQL client works as an input to get data and put data inside vNode. So this is a generic architecture. So this is the typical architecture that you can create with vNode. So you can have these remote modules, each remote module with one or many modules collecting data. For example, in this case, in the left side, we have the SQL Client module collecting data from a database. From an inverter, we have a Modbus module, and from an OPC UA server, we have an OPC UA Client module. In the left vNode, in the right side, we have just one module collecting data from Siemens PLCs, and all these remote vNodes are linked to a central vNode, which is collecting the data from all the remote vNodes, supporting, of course, store and forward, and this central vNode is sending the data to the final destination. That could be a database, could be a NoSQL database, could be a file, could be of course, any historian, any SCADA, the cloud, REST API client, or any other application that needs the data from all these devices. Of course, vNode can also work as a standalone. So in this case, we have again an SQL client module to get data from our database, the Modbus client to collect the data from the Modbus device, and the DA client module to collect the data from the OPC server for DA server. Okay, we're putting all the data together into this standalone vNode, and then this vNode is sending the data to all the final destinations. So these two are different architectures. We usually use them in different kind of projects, but of course both of them are very, very valid. So in this case, we're going to be showing how the SQL client works. So the SQL client module is a work in progress module. So this is the first version. In this version, we are supporting a Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and MariaDB. Probably in next versions, we're going to be supporting more databases. And also in this version, we are only supporting to read the data from the databases. And of course, in future versions, we are also going to be supporting sending data to the databases. So in this example, I'm going to show you where I have created two tables, very different one each other. So we have this test one table of measurements. So let's just, this is an example of different kind of measurements that are stored in an external database, and we want to collect these measurements and put them into vNode. So we have a level, we have a pressure, we have a temperature, and we have a timestamp. So as we can see here, in different moments of time, we have different measurements, and we want to get into vNode the last measurement. In the test 2, in the table 4, so as we can see, we have a column called name. Column is the value, the quality, and the timestamp. The quality 192 means this is good quality. So as we can see in the column name, we have all the name of the different tags we are collecting and putting all together in the same table, in the same column. So this is just an example. I have collected tag 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we want to get into vNode the last value of each tag. So every time we make a query to the database, we want to collect the last value, the last known value for each tag. So in one case, we want actually the top one, the first row, the level, the pressure, and the temperature, and the timestamp. And in the other, in the test 2 from table 4, we want to collect the data, again, the last value for each individual tag. So of course, the queries are different in both cases. So let's get started with the test 1. So I have here my virtual machine. So I have my vNode. I already have multiple modules and multiple tasks and multiple tags inside my vNode. So let's get started from the beginning. So we just need to go to config, modules, and here we can create the module we need. So let's put here, this is our new module, and we're going to be naming the module SQL Client, for example. We can put any name we want. And here now we have to select what kind of module this is. So we have here SQL Client. And that's it. There we have here under our modules menu, we have our SQL Client. And inside the SQL Client is where we are going to be making the configuration to connect to the databases. So we have to create a model, a channel. So we have our channel, channel 1 or channel A. And inside our channel A, we can enable or disable this channel. We have a query timeout. We have retry attempts and inter-request delay. If we have a very, very complicated query, maybe we want to hide a little bit the timeout. Right now it's in 3 seconds. Normally and usually this is enough. But if you see that the query time in order to get the data is taking more than 3 seconds, you want to put this in 4 or 5 seconds. So then this is just a keep alive in order to be sending pings to the database in order to know that it's alive all the time. Right now we usually don't need this. So we have that connector. We have our MySQL, MariaDB, SQL Server, Postgre. So it doesn't matter which database we select. Actually, the way to configure this module is just the same. The only difference is the way, well, is the query itself, because different databases you need quotes or double quotes or nothing in order to name the name of the tags or to name the columns. So that's the only difference. But in this case, we're going to be working with MySQL, which I have locally. So where is my database? In this case, is in localhost. The port, this is the default port. Here the database, I have a database called test. The user, the password. So I have my user and the password. If you want secure or insecure communication, if you want to use SSL, And then the time zone. In this case, I'm going to be using the local. So you can force a time zone or you can just put the local. So I'm going to select the local. Remember that everything you see in vNode is in UTC. You can change it here in the bottom right side. We can select here if we want to see timestamps in UTC, in the user local zone, or in the server zone, or custom, and we can select any zone we want. So right now I'm going to select UTC and it's perfect for me. That's it. After this, we can save it. Okay, I don't want to restart. Then we have our transactions. So we have a transaction. We can call transaction1. And for these databases, we can create as many transactions as we want. Of course, if we want to connect to another database at the same time, we can go here and we can create another channel and another channel. So we can have as many channels as we want connected to multiple databases. This channel is connected to MySQL, so again, we can have as many transactions as we want with the same database. So transaction 1 is where we are going to be configuring our data collection. So we are going to enable this. We have the option to say when we want to run our query. So we have several options here. We can run our query periodically. So this is the trigger type. This is periodically or on trigger. If we select periodically, so it means that every 10 seconds we're going to be running over and over again the same query, which we're going to be adding here. Or if we have a trigger, of course this query is going to run every time. Let's say we can set here a trigger. Let's use, I think I have a trigger somewhere. Here I have a trigger. So every time the trigger goes to is equal to, for example, or not equal or greater than or whatever, so it's equal to 0, for example, in this case, or in this case is true because actually it's a boolean in my case. So the trigger, the query is going to run. Okay, or we can play with this a lot. In this case, for my test, I'm going to be using, instead of a trigger, I'm going to be used periodically. So I'm going to be running my query every 10 seconds. So I'm going to be creating my query here. So in this version 1, we only have the option to use a custom query. Means that we have to introduce my query here manually. In next versions, of course, this is going to be coming with a help in order to create a query, just selecting what columns or what do you want to get from the database, and you don't need to insert here the string of the query. Okay, here's where I'm going to be putting the query. I'm going to show you in a moment. Then after we are going to have an answer from my query, we are going to process the answer. So here in the parser type is where we are going to be adding here again a very small script, which is probably always the same script, in order to understand the answer, the dataset, and mapping the different values with the different tags inside vNode. Okay, I'm going to show you this in a moment. So after we have this running, just save, and of course there is nothing else to do, just watching the data coming in. So at this moment I have this other module already created, so we don't need So we already have this configured with my two tests. So I'm going to be showing you how I configure these two tags. Okay. So let me delete this new SQL client. There we go, because I already have this one, the module called SQL, which I already configured previously. Okay, so again, in my SQL, I have two transactions because I have two tests to perform today. Again, when we're getting data from MySQL, the local host, everything is the same, the user and the password, and we're going to be here collecting the data from a transaction called T1. So my channel is called C1, and my transaction, the first one is called T1. Okay, and it's going to be running every 3 seconds periodically. So what I want to do in my first example is to collect the data here from my measurements. So I have my table called measurements, and I have a select asterisk or select star from measurements or by timestamp. So if I run this, here I have my measurements. I only have 11 measurements with the timestamps and everything. So I want to collect these 3 values and put them in vNode tags. So I'm going to create one tag called level, another pressure, another temperature, and every time there is a new insert in this table, we're going to get automatically the new values. Okay? So in order to get that, here in config tags, I have created, of course, here in SQL Client, I have created this folder, and inside the folder, my test1, I have the tags we're going to be using for the first test, and I have my 3 tags. So I have my level, which is just a number. I have my pressure, again, it's just the same, and my temperature, again, the same. The 3 of them, if you see here, the source, I have enabled the source. The module is the SQL client, which is over here, is the SQL client, and the module name from all the modules I have created in this vNode, I'm choosing MySQL because this is the SQL client, is this one here. So then I have to tell this tag to be looking for a value coming from a transaction, from a channel and a transaction. So I'm pointing the value of my tag to the channel 1, transaction 1. Actually, in the help here, there is a help here where you can see that the format of the transaction you have to put here is channel/transaction. So that's why I put C1/T1, which is my channel and my transaction. In the tag address, I don't need to put anything if I don't want to, because this tag already has a name. This tag level, the real name, the full name, not the real name, the full path of this tag called label is /SQL client /test1/level. Okay, it's /SQL client /test1/level. Actually, I think we can see it here in the real time. If we go here to test1, so we can have, actually we can copy the tag path if we want, or show the configuration, so we can see all the properties from this tag. Okay, so we are going to map my value. This one, level, is going to hold the value level, and then pressure and then temperature are going to be here inside vNode. The level, the pressure, and the temperature. Okay, so how do we do this? So inside my module SQL, inside I have my channel 1, my transaction 1, inside my transaction 1, as I told you, I have my query, it's custom, it's going to be running every 3 seconds, and I have my script. My script is as simple as this. I have my output is going to be select star from the test, this is the database dot the table measurements, or the by timestamp descendant. So I'm going to get the first one is going to be the newest one, because I want to get the newest one, which is actually this one. Right now is this one. This is the newest measurement. I want always the last one. So after I get the last one, after I get all the data set, I want only to get limit 1 means only the first row, nothing else but the first row. So actually I'm going to get this, select star from measurements or by timestamp descendant limit 1. If I execute this, I only get the ID 11, the first one. Okay. If I go here and I make an insert into my table, let's put any random number. Okay, so I can just put any number in order to get new values. Here we go. Okay, execute. I'm going to get a row number 12. Here we go. A row number 12 with these values. If I go here and I run this query now, I'm going to get again the only one, and is the last one, which is happening right now. Okay then, so if we go back to vNode in here, so this my output is going to be this dataset full of just one row with the 3 columns. Okay, well actually not with the 3 columns, we're going to get the ID, the 3 columns, and the timestamp. So we're going to get the 5 columns. Okay, so what are we going to do after we get this dataset with the 5 columns? We're going to parse them. So again, this is how we do it. This is JavaScript. This is very, very, very simple, and actually it doesn't matter if you are working with one database or another. Actually, this is always the same. So we're going to be repeating. Okay, that's what's the 4. So we're going to get one repetition for each row of the dataset, and in this case we only have one row, so this is going to happen only once in this case because we only have one row. And then inside we are going to iterate through the different columns, and as we said before, we have 5 columns. We have, in this case, we have the ID, the level, the pressure, temperature, and the timestamp. So in here, first of all, column is going to be the name of one by one the columns. So we're going to get here through the first column. So col is going to be the first one. Here we're going from, well, actually from 0 to 4, the 5 columns. So we're going to get the column is going to be the name of the first column, which actually is the ID. If the column is ID or is timestamp, I don't want to do anything. So just skip all the rest. So the first iteration is not going to do anything because I don't want to do anything with the ID of the row. So when this is 2, well, actually when this is 1 in the second pass, so we're going to get the column is going to be the name of the second column, which actually is level. So it's not ID and it's not timestamp. So we're going to be coming here. So the name of the tag is going to be column. So the full name of the tag is going to be /SQL Client /test1/ and the name of my column, which is level, pressure, and temperature. So the full tag name is going to be all this slash SQL Client slash test1 slash pressure level and temperature. That's the name of the tag, and we put this inside a small JSON data type, which is going to be full of 4 components: the tag, the value, the quality, and timestamp. So the tag is going to be the name of the tag. The value is going to be the row value in the column, of course. For the column, right now we are working with level because we are in here, so with level. So we're going to be collecting here the 62.2 is going to be my value. Quality, I'm not collecting from the database. I'm only always putting 192, and I'm going to collect the timestamp from the column with the column name TS, which is my timestamp, and that's going to be the timestamp of the vNode tag. After we do that, we just execute this function, the $output push tag data. And tag data, remember that is tag data is this, is the name of the tag, the value, the quality, and the timestamp. And then, because it's an iteration, we're going to start again with the next column. The next column is the pressure, and then the next column is temperature, and then the next column is the timestamp, but again, the timestamp, we're going to skip it. So after we do that, we are finished with our script, and we are finished with our parse. So this is actually very, very fast. So let's see how this works. We're going to get started with this. We can go to in here. And we are going to be actually here, SQL Client, no, here in my module. So I want to be sure that my enable data collection is yes. My T1 actually enable data collection has to be in yes. And the second one is no. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to be doing the first one, executing the first query. Okay, okay, and okay. There we go. I have to save this. Now we can go to real time, and we are going to start collecting data coming from our database. There we go. So we have our 62.2, our 39.6, and our 99.15, because this is the latest value the latest measurement we are collecting. If again we go here and we insert something new, let's say we go here and we just delete this, and we have 3.5, 9.1, 77.5, and we insert a new measurement. There we go. Now the latest value is different, and our tags are changing in almost real time. Actually, we are executing the query every 3 seconds, so maybe it will take 3 seconds. Okay, so that's the example number 1. Of course, I'm doing a very, very simple query, but here you can use the query you want, as complex as you want. Okay, so my test number 2. So let's go to the test number 2. In my test number 2, we're going to be collecting the data from a complete different table, which is table 4. Table 4, as you can see here, table 4 is a column. We have a column with the name of the tag, we have a value, we have a quality, and we have a timestamp. And actually, we have a script filling the we have a script in here, filling my table. I have a script in my scripting module, inserting data all the time. Now we have our SQL client running and the scripting running. I don't want all the rest because I'm just testing. All the rest of the modules will do something else. So we have our scripting module with a script that is all the time inserting data into our database. Actually, if we go here, we see that we have our tags. If I execute, there we go. We have fresh data. Check the timestamp, 16, 36, 45. I think it's inserting data every 5 seconds, I think. So yeah, I'm getting fresh data all the time. Tag 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, every time we run our SQL query client, we want to get only the last values, one for each tag, okay? There we go. Perfect. So let's go again to my SQL client. And now we are going to be running a different query. So the transaction 1, let's put it in no. The transaction 2, let's put it in yes. I'm going to show you this is a different query. So I have a distinct, okay? So this is again a simple query in order to get only one value per tag name and always the last value for each tag. So this is the output. So I'm going to get again a data set with 4 rows with tag 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there we go. So if we go here in our parser, this is actually the same. In this case, I only want to iterate row by row. So I'm going to go to the first row. I'm going to get the name of the tag, which is in the column. Actually, the name of the column is name. So I'm going to get the name of the tag. It's going to be /SQL Client /test2 /tag1. Then we have the value, which is in the column value. That's why I put it like this. It's in the column value. Then we're going to have the quality 192, or we can actually read the quality if we want from the column name quality. And the timestamp, we're going to be collecting this column here. And then we're going to be pushing. We are going to be doing one iteration per row, and every time we read, we're going to get 4 rows because we only have 4 different tag names, the tag 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and actually that's it. We can check in here, no, not here. We can check in here if we want to test what are we going to be getting. I can just copy this and paste it here, so we can have here we can see what are we going, how is the data set going to be. So this is our data set. As you can see, we have 4 rows, name, value, and timestamp. And if I'm just getting the last value for each of the tags. If I wait a second, actually I think 5 seconds, and I do this query again, instead of 44, 46, I'm going to get 45, 11. So we are getting the values, the new values all the time. Okay, so let's go here to our transaction. The data collection is working perfect. So let's see the tags I have ready for this. So instead of test1, we're going to have test2. So we have again tag 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are going to be getting the values coming from our table. Again, the source is the enable is yes, this is SQL client, the module name is SQL, transaction is the channel 1, and now is transaction 2 instead of transaction 1 like before. And the tag address is empty because I'm going to be sending the values to /SQL Client /test2 /tag 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, as we can see here, this is where I'm going to be sending my value to /SQL Client /test2 and the name of the value in the column name. So test 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and actually that's it. We can just save this, and okay, we can just save this. Okay, we'll restart the module. We'll go here, and we go now to test 2. We have our 4 tags. We wait a second, and there we go. We have our 4 tags, and if we wait 5 seconds, we're going to be getting new values all the time, every 5 seconds. There we go. Because there is an external application filling with new values, the database all the time. So every time we make a query, we are getting the last values, and the last values are different every 5 seconds. You can also check it here. You will see that this timestamp is in UTC. So we are getting these values in here. My database is in local time, and the timestamp in vNode is in UTC. So it's in UTC because I selected to be in UTC. It can also be in local time. There we go. 47, 49, 47, 49. And all the time changing here. Check the timestamp, changing every 10 seconds. We are collecting the data every 10 seconds. Okay, then, this is everything I wanted to show you today. Hope you like this module. It's very, very useful, very useful. If you need more complicated logic, if you need to make a chain of queries, or if you need to insert instead of do a select, you need to use the scripting module, which I'm going to also be doing another video showing how to use it and to collect data and to write into databases. But this is simpler if you want to collect the data from these 4 kind of databases: MongoDB, Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, and Postgres. Okay. So just to finish, let's go back to my PowerPoint. So this is my contact details. If you want any of these, of course, the script is for you. If you want these scripts, just let me know, send me an email, I can just send it to you. Contact me by email or contact through our website. Here you have our phone numbers. You can download vNode for free from our website. And thank you very much for your time, and see you soon.